Hello everybody and welcome back to Advanced Maths. Today we're looking at completing the square. So you should be familiar with quadratic equations. You should know how to factorise them as well. Well, today we're looking at completing the square form, and this is a third way of writing a quadratic equation. This is quite important for solving some maths problems. So we're going to look how to get from a normal quadratic to completing the square form like this. So let's start with an example. Let's write y equals x squared plus 8x minus 10 in completed the square form. The first thing to do is look at the number in the middle. Here the number is 8, and so it's the number next to the x. We half that number. Half of 8 is 4, and we write it in brackets with an x like this. X plus 4 squared. Then we subtract that number squared, and then the number on the end can just come down like this. If you remember how to do that step, you're fine. That's the hardest part of completing the square. And you just have to remember where each number goes and how to write it out. Now it's just simplifying. So 4 squared is 16, and minus 16 minus 10 is minus 26. And we've finished. X plus 4 squared minus 26. If you want to check this works, you can expand the brackets, which we're going to do in a moment. Just remember to start by halving the x and write it out like that, as we did in the second line here, and then you simplify the expression. We're going to check the expression now works, so x plus 4 times x plus 4. Just write the x plus 4 squared as two separate brackets. We're going to expand those brackets with a crab's claw, and we get x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus 26. Plus 16 minus 26 is minus 10, and that's the exact same as the original expression, so we've done it correctly. Okay? Let's see another example. Write y equals x squared minus 4x in completing the square form, and hence solve the equation 60 equals x squared minus 4x. Okay, so we're going to start by copying down the expression. We're going to half the number in front of the x. So half of minus 4 is minus 2, and we write it in brackets like this. Then we subtract that number squared. And if there's a number on the end, we write that number on the end. But here, there is no number on the end. It just stops at minus 4x. Minus 2 squared is 4, so we subtract 4. And we get y equals x minus 2 squared minus 4. And that is it in completing the square form. Now it says, hence solve the equation 60 equals x squared minus 4x. In maths, if you see the word hence, it means you have to use what you just did to solve the equation. And what we just did was we wrote it in completed the square form. So we're going to use completed the square form. The x squared minus 4x can be replaced by x minus 2 squared minus 4. It goes like this. Those two things are the same. We can get rid of the minus 4 by adding 4 to both sides. 60 plus 4 is 64, and that's equal to x minus 2 squared. We square root both sides. Square root of 64 is equal to the square root of x minus 2 squared. The square root and the squared cancel, and we get 8 equals x minus 2, or minus 8 equals x minus 2, because remember, when you square root something, you get two answers. The square root of 64 is 8, and it's also minus 8. Just solving that now. 8 equals x minus 2, we add 2 to both sides, and we get x equals 10. Or, we add 2 to both sides, minus 8 plus 2 is minus 6, and so we get either x equals 10 or x equals minus 6 as the final answer. Okay? Now, the next thing to tell you with completing a square is that you can use this to find the turning points of a quadratic graph. So, we've got these three equations here. I'm going to write those in completed the square form. If you wanted to do that in your own time, you can try to do those yourself and see if you get it correct. Now, to find the turning points, we take the numbers in the brackets of completing the square form, and we write it like this. The numbers in the completed square form tell you the turning points of the quadratic. So here the x coordinate is the opposite of the number in the bracket. So here we had x plus 5, so the x coordinate becomes minus 5, that's the opposite, you switch the sign. And then the y coordinate is exactly what you had on the outside of the bracket. So here we have 201 over 16 is the number on the end. That's equal to 201 over 16 there. Okay. That is how you write numbers, you find the turning point of a quadratic graph. Let me show you what it means on a graph. Here we have some graphs, and the turning point is the maximum or the minimum of the graph. It's where the graph turns from going down to going up, or from going up to going down. Okay, so let's have one more example just so we know how to find the turning point or the minimum point. So y equals 3x squared minus 15x plus 11. And we're going to write that in completely the square form, and hence we're going to find the minimum point. So we take the expression, and here we have a number in front of the x. So the first step to do here, when we have a slightly harder quadratic with a number in front of the x squared, is we factorise out that number. And we get this. So we've taken a 3 out of each part of the quadratic. So 3 times x squared gives us 3x squared. The 3 times minus 6 gives us minus 18x. 3 times 11 thirds is 11. So these two expressions are the same. Now we complete the square inside the square brackets. So as we did before, the minus 6 got halved, so it's x minus 3 squared. Then we subtracted minus 3 squared, and the 11 thirds got added on the end. Still all inside the square brackets. Then we can expand the square brackets. So we get 3 times x minus 3 squared, 3 times minus 9 is minus 27, and 3 times 11 thirds is 11. Minus 27 plus 11 is minus 16, and that is the final step. So just to remind you, start by factorising out the coefficient of the x squared. So here the coefficient was 3, and we factorised out a 3 from everything. Then we halve the middle number of the quadratic, and we write it out like this. Here we simplify and expand. And we've done. Now we get the completed square form is y equals 3x minus 3 squared minus 16. And the x coordinate is the opposite of what's in the bracket, it's plus 3. And the number on the end is the y coordinate. The minimum point of this graph is 3 minus 16, and we've done. That is the final answer. Okay, you might want to rewatch this video just so you get the idea of exactly the steps for completing the square. It's okay to watch the video 2 or 3 times until you're really ready with each individual step. But if you're ready, you can try to complete the square with the 4 expressions over here. Hence, you can solve these equations over here in the middle, and you can find the turning point of the graphs labelled there. Okay, pause the video and try this yourself. It should take you about 10 to 15 minutes. When you're ready, you can press play and I'll reveal the answers for you in 3, 2, 1. Did you get it right? Let me know how you did in the comments. Thank you for watching this week's video from Addvance Maths. We have plenty more videos coming every week. So remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck in your exams.